What's going on, everybody? Welcome to FM26. In today's video, we are going to be going over the in possession and out of possession roles, trying to break them down to the best of my ability. I spent quite a bit of time doing some tactic testing so far, trying to really wrap my head around how the in possession and out of possession is going to work. I feel I have a pretty good grasp of things right now, and we're going to be going over the roles, and then I might hit at some tactics that might be pretty good to utilize along with some of these roles as well. So that is what we have in today's video, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get in to today's video. So right now I actually have kind of like a blank slate. This is from the point of view of my save that I'll be starting on Twitch actually today. I'll be linking my Twitch down below if you guys would like to come check out the stream when I'm live later on. But we're going to go ahead and go into tactics. I'm going to bring this up with a clean slate, and essentially what I've been doing every single time is just putting it as a 4-3-3 and then 4-3-3 here as well. Kind of get me a base for everything and build from there. Now, I will say this off the rip. One thing that I have noticed when it comes to the out of possession immediately, whether it's the roles or the tactics as a whole, try and keep it as simple as possible and try and mirror it somewhat to what you are utilizing in possession as well. It definitely helps the tactic and your team flow a little bit better. However, you can kind of change it up if you wish to do so, which I'll be covering more in depth in another video in the future. But for now, we're going to get into the in possession roles, and I've actually kind of gone back to FM24, looked at a couple things, compared it to FM26, and there are some very big differences when it comes to the roles. I actually have a list to my left right now that I'm going to read off right now for y'all. So we have quite a few roles that have changed names. Some of them have been adapted as well to fit inside other roles also, or even be created from some of the new roles. Those roles are the Shadow Striker is now the second striker. The inverted wingback is now the inside wingback. Inverted fullback is the inside fullback. The libero is now the advanced center back. The sweeper keeper is the ball playing goalkeeper. The ball playing defender, ball playing center back, no nonsense center back was the no nonsense central defender. All the center backs kind of changed their names. Same with wide center back as well. But the trequartista is now the free role essentially. You got the wide playmaker and the advanced playmaker out on the wing from FM24. Those are now essentially the playmaking winger that we'll see here in a moment. Then we've got the box-to-box playmaker, which some people will probably argue that's a Segunda Volante. I'm going to argue that it is a regista. It definitely feels like it fits that role more so than the Segundo. Then we have got the advanced wingback was the complete wingback. We have the advanced forward turning into the center forward. Then we move on to the channel midfielder. That is essentially the Carlero or the Mezzala. And then we have the midfield playmaker is essentially the roaming playmaker if you set it to roam. That's kind of the only way to utilize that role now in FM26. And there was one role adapted to a different area, which was the box-to-box midfielder. Instead of the central midfield area, it's now bumped down to the defensive midfield area. But the roles that I can tell that are gone out of the game in their entirety, or essentially they are now, you have to build them within other roles, are the complete forward, pressing forward, trequartista for the attacking midfield, striker, and wing, even though the free role is technically the trequartista. Then you've got the Engach. The Raumdeuter sadly is gone, so the Thomas Muller role is gone. We then have the defensive winger, the ball-winning midfielder, the deep line playmaker in central midfield. The ball-winning midfielder is also gone in defensive midfield. Segunda Volante, the anchor as well. The roaming playmaker, like I mentioned, you essentially have to create that role. Then when it comes to the fullback, it looks like the no-nonsense fullback is gone, unless you're talking about in defense and out of possession, which I'll get into that in a moment. And then the complete wingback is also gone because now that is just the, which one was it? That is now the advanced wingback. That is what that one is. But even though they either took out or adapted 15 roles from FM24, they did, however, give us 33 new roles in FM26. However, 26 of those roles are from out of possession. But now enough of me talking about all that. Here we are on the tactics screen. Right now, this is combined, which I absolutely love looking at it this way, or even when looking at both. But for now, we're going to be looking at in possession with all of these roles. So up top with the strikers, some of these are fairly familiar. The deep line forward is still going to be doing the exact same thing that it did in FM24. It'll drop a little bit deeper, create some plays for you. They link up play. They also are a goal scoring threat for you. The center forward I like to think of as essentially being the advanced forward in a lot of ways, or another version of a poacher, even though we do, as you can see here, have the poacher still. Because the center forward's job essentially is just go score goals. They can create goals as well, but I mean, it's really like it says here, it's the classic number 9. It does a basic job for you. Then we move on to the target forward. This is kind of like your Chris Wood archetype of player, where you hoof the ball up to them, they lay off the ball, make plays, link up plays, and they are one of your main goal scoring threats up top. These are usually those bigger type of forwards. Then you have the poacher, which essentially they are a goal merchant. They only focus on scoring goals. Not really going to get you a lot of assists, but the poacher, I feel personally, with how the game is playing right now, the poacher is probably going to be a pretty decent role for a lot of tactics. We then have the channel forward, which runs in the channels, and it's a goal scoring threat, which, like I said earlier, it's kind of like an advanced forward, because the advanced forward would move into channels as well. However, if you want to make sure that your channel forward is pressing a lot, tackling harder and whatnot, you can essentially create the pressing forward with this one right here. The pressing forward is also a role that I just realized is taken out of the game, but you can essentially try and recreate it to some extent. And then we have got the false 9. Think of a deep line forward if they can go any deeper, but it essentially moves back into that 10 spot. Very fun role to utilize already. I've been testing it out myself. Ousmane Dembele, very fun player to utilize in this role. If you have a quick playmaker, like an Antoine Griezmann even, this will be a very fun role to use. Now we move on to the wing, and we have the very basic wingers. Stays wide, creative threat. This is as generic can get with the roles out wide. Essentially what this role allows you to do is create your own role if you wish to do so. It's kind of what it allowed you to do in FM24 as well. So I do like that that is carried over. And the winger is a very, very good creative player so far from my tactic testing. Then we have got the inside forward. They move inside, they're a goal threat. They're essentially wide strikers. And this year that is really hit home with this role, because when they end up coming in, they are very close to the striker, and you're essentially playing a front 3 when utilizing 2 inside forwards. So if you like that attacking aspect, inside forwards are going to be your best friend. Then we've got the playmaking winger, which is taking the place of the wide playmaker or even the advanced playmaker on the wing. This is what it is, a playmaking winger. They're going to be one of your main creative outlets in your side. So if you have a very good crosser of the ball, passer of the ball, someone with good dribbling, as well as dribbling is very overpowered in FM26, this is going to be a key role to put a player like that within. When I see the wide forward, it is no longer like a wide target forward, putting the big guys out wide, not any longer. The wide forward is essentially a wider goal scoring version of the winger. So you have the creative version in the winger, and then a wide forward is the goal scoring version of the winger. It's not like an inside forward, because they are playing much wider, like you can instruct the winger to do so. Then we've got another fun role, the inside winger. Kind of like an inside forward, but this time around they are a creative threat. So you have on the wings, you've got a winger that is a creative threat, a wide forward that is a goal scoring threat from out wide. Then you got the inside forward, which is a goal scoring threat moving inside. And you have the inside winger, which is a creative threat moving inside. So you essentially have the best of both worlds. It's just, do you want them to score goals? Do you want them to create? It's up to you. Now we move to the number 10 spot, the attacking midfielder. And the attacking midfielder right here is actually also available in central midfield, which I think putting that in central midfield, essentially that is the central midfield on attack. But the attack midfielder, very good role, very good goal scoring threat as well as a playmaker threat. It gives you a all-around player essentially. It's like taking the advanced playmaker with the second striker or shadow striker. Yes, they don't move up to being a striker, but with in-player instructions, you can definitely instruct them to make forward runs, and then they can kind of play like that at times if you wish to do so. But then we've got the advanced playmaker. They find space between the lines. They are expressive. They are a playmaker. They can be very, very good as well, dependent upon the player. We then have the free roll, which essentially this is the trequartista. They are a creative threat. They're going to make plays. They're going to move about the ball. They're your dribbly boys. They do not care about defense. That is what this role is. So if you're looking for that sort of player in your side, you can only unfortunately play them at the 10 spot. You used to be able to play a role like that up top as well as out wide, but now it is only in that 10 spot. Then we move on to the second striker, or what we knew as the shadow striker. This moves up to that striker position. Like I was mentioning earlier with that attacking midfielder, you can instruct them to move up. The second striker just does it. And they essentially are a striker that will arrive a little after your primary striker. And they can be very, very good. Think of like a Bruno Fernandes at Man United. If you are managing Man United, this is a role that he would perform very, very well in. And then now we have got the channel midfielder, which runs into channels and is a creative threat. This is kind of like a Mezzala at the 10 spot. Now moving on to central midfield. Once again, we have the attacking midfielder. Like I mentioned earlier, it is kind of like the central midfield on attack. Then we've got the advanced playmaker here as well. Operates essentially the same as it does in the 10 spot. But then we've got the channel midfielder and wide central midfielder. This is where you get that Carolero Mezzala type feel. You can have essentially like a playmaking Carolero here with a channel midfielder, or a Carolero right here with the wide central midfielder. This essentially would be like having a defensive Mezzala a little bit, because you could do Mezzala on attack and support. I don't remember if you could do defend or not. Been a while since I used the Mezzala, but channel midfielder is 100% what the Mezzala was. So runs into channels is a creative threat, and both those roles can be very, very good. Just depends how you wish to utilize them. If you want one on being defensive, if you want one being more creative and more attacking. Very good wombo combo right there, I have a feeling. Then we have got the midfield playmaker, which is essentially like a deep line playmaker, just in central midfield. For whatever reason, they felt the need to kind of separate that and put the deep line playmaker only in defense midfield. Don't understand why, but that is the way that they chose to do it. Then if we move to the deeper winger, we've got wide midfielder, which is a midfielder that stays wide. It's essentially like a winger, but not as creative. You will be able to allow them to be a little bit more defensive, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which they will be very, very good. Playmaking winger, once again, they are a creative outlet for you. And then the inside winger can also be a pretty solid option from there. Essentially, if you have a winger further up the pitch, they're going to be more so a goal scoring threat potentially for you. And a little bit deeper down, essentially, you are focusing on creating plays. Now we move to defensive midfield, where I had my heart broken when I was looking at these roles. So the ball winning midfielder, gone. Segunda Volante, gone. Essentially, you can only create those now. The defensive midfielder is as close as you're going to get to a ball winning midfielder. That is, or even an anchor. That is as close as you're going to get to being either one of those roles. The deep line playmaker is still there. They are deep. They make plays. Box-to-box midfielder is now in defensive midfield, but goes from defensive midfield to the number 10 area. Now, the box-to-box midfielder kind of did that in FM24 anyways. Some people are arguing that this is a Segunda Volante. I'm not making that argument. This is essentially the box-to-box midfielder. Then you have the halfback, once again, drops into your back line, allows you to create back threes if you wish to do so. And then we have the box-to-box playmaker, which is like the Regista. You can also argue that this is the Segunda Volante. I've tested it, doesn't really play like it. It definitely plays like a Regista for sure. So that is the defensive midfield area roles. Then we move to the wing back, not the fullback area, the wing back area, where you will be playing essentially back threes or back fives, however you wish to term it. So we have got the wing back, which gets further forward, stays wider. Very good role once again. We've got the advanced wingback, which is essentially the complete wingback. Disregards its defensive duties, but if you are okay with a player doing that, then this is the role for you. They will be very good in creative opportunities. Inside wingback is essentially the inverted wingback, and a playmaking wingback is just a playmaking version of the inverted wingback, which they already were. Which both the inside wingback and playmaking wingback both slot in to the same area, the defensive midfield. Then now we move to the fullback area, where we get the fullback, as well as the wingback. They operate the exact same way they did last year. It's just you have to customize them fully to get that fullback on attack overpowered role once again. Then we've got the inside wingback, once again, the inverted wingback. The inside fullback is the inverted fullback that allows you to also create back threes if you wish to do so. And then the playmaking wingback, which is the playmaking version of the inverted wingback. Which, by the way, if you choose to utilize that role, do not be afraid to take a player that you want to play as a deep line playmaker that has very good defensive attributes as well, and have two players like that, but play one as that role. And then have a box-to-box midfielder that pushes up. You have that playmaking inverted wingback come in, play with that deep line playmaker, and you have two very good playmakers in your defensive midfield. Little cheat code that you might want to utilize within FM26. Then we move on to the center backs, where everything got its name changed from central defender to center back, essentially. So we have the center back, which is very bland. They just hold their position. Then we've got the advanced center back, which is the libero. We have the ball-playing center back, which was the ball-playing defender. The no-nonsense center back, which was the no-nonsense defender that essentially doesn't want to take any risks. So this is very good for non-league if you are not the best at building out from the back, or if you're a bit shaky in defense, this will be a very good role for you. And then, of course, we also have the wide center back, just like we've had in previous iterations. That goes a little bit wider. And then we have the overlapping center back, which 100% is due to the utilization of wide center backs in the Inter Milan system under Inzaghi. This will be a very broken role once people figure out how to use it, especially with pacey center backs. So I'm going to be doing plenty of testing with that role with Inter Milan for sure. And hopefully we are able to really recreate how Inzaghi had that team playing throughout the past couple of seasons before he moved to Saudi Arabia. Then we get to the last position, the goalkeeper. We got a goalkeeper that stops shots. We've got a goalkeeper that moves the ball. And we got a no-nonsense goalkeeper that, once again, stops shots. So you can essentially choose to just leave it as is, which is all I've been doing, and they're doing well. Or you can do a ball-playing goalkeeper, which they like to roam, be more expressive, play out the ball, take more risks like Manuel Neuer. So those essentially are your options. The no-nonsense goalkeeper is essentially just another goalkeeper that's going to stop shots. But now we move on to the out of possession, which this is actually going to go fairly quickly because it's pretty straightforward. So up top with the striker, we've got the center forward, we got the tracking center forward, and we've got the central outlet center forward. Now, with the center forward, essentially, they're just going to defend like usual. Like you see here on this mini map right here, that is essentially how they're going to play. It is very straightforward. However, the tracking center forward is going to track back, help out your defense a little bit more. If you are utilizing a role like that, you need to definitely do some testing to see if it is going to fit within your system first and foremost, because I have tried utilizing it so far and it is very system to system based. But one that I really like pairing with that center forward, if you're not rocking two center forwards, is a central outlet center forward. And that essentially is just going to leave one of your strikers a little bit further up, or even an attacking midfielder if you're rocking two number 10s. Move one of those up and they'll stay like a little bit further out, and they will help create pretty good counterattacking opportunities. But then if you move that striker a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, we've got the splitting outlet center forward, which goes a little bit even wider than the central outlet center forward does, and essentially does the exact same thing. They are a stay high outlet for counterattacks. Now moving to the wing, we have got the winger, which just like the center forward, really basic. They defend as a winger. You got the tracking winger, which just like the tracking back center forward, they track back. They support the defense. You got the inside outlet winger, which they're going to stay high, but they're going to be a little bit more inside. So if you are wanting to rock that outlet center forward, but from a little bit deeper, this is essentially that. And then you have the wide outlet winger, which is just like that wide outlet center forward. They stay high, they counter, they're wider than the inside one would be. Then we move on to the 10 spot. We got the attacking midfielder. Then we have the tracking attacking midfielder, which tracks back, and the central outlet attacking midfielder, which is once again one of those that kind of stays a little bit further forward and allows you to counter. And then, just like the striker, you move it a little bit over to the right or a little bit over to the left. You have the splitting outlet attacking midfielder, which does the exact same thing as the striker did, just from a little bit deeper. Then we've got the central midfielder, which defends as a central midfielder. You have the pressing central midfielder, which is good for gegenpressing systems, especially if you want to be aggressive. Then you have the screening central midfielder, which holds position and is cautious. This is a very good ball winner. So if they did still have the ball winning midfielder, this is what it is. It's just on the defensive side of the ball. You can even argue that this is the anchor. And then you also have the wide covering central midfielder, which can cover the wings if you're wanting your wings to be a little bit further up. And speaking of the wings, we got that little bit of a deeper winger. We've got the wide midfielder, in my opinion, probably the best defensive role for the wingers right now. If you are not playing a 4-3-3 and you're wanting to drop them a little bit deeper, say you're playing a 4-2-4 and you drop them down to defend in a 4-4-2, perfect role for the wingers right there. You got a tracking wide midfielder, which tracks back just like all the other ones do. And then the wide outlet wide midfielder, which once again is a wide outlet, just like all the other ones. Then when we get to the defensive midfielder, we have the defensive midfielder, which is essentially like an anchor ball winning midfielder, defensive midfielder, however you wish to build them. Then we've got a dropping defensive midfielder, which drops into the back line as a center back. You got a screening defensive midfielder, which is just like the screening central midfielder, just a little bit deeper. And then same thing with that wide covering defensive midfielder, just a little bit deeper. Then we move on to the wing back, not the fullback, the wing back. We have the wing back, of course. Then we have a pressing wing back, which once again, if you're wanting to play a gegenpressing system, this is going to be very, very solid. And I've been utilizing this. It's a very fun role to use. They really get up on the opponent and help you win the ball back pretty early on. So a very, very good role if you are utilizing a 3-5 back system. Then we have the holding wingback, which is like a no-nonsense wingback or fullback. So if it's within FM26, it's only on the defensive side of the ball. Then we get to the fullback, and we have the fullback, of course, the pressing fullback, just like the pressing wingback, and the holding fullback, just like the pressing wingback. They essentially do the exact same thing, just from a little bit deeper. Then we get to the center backs. Now this is if you were in a back three right now. So you have the center back, the stopping center back, the covering center back. Those used to be duties within the role that you could set it to, but now they are completely different options. So center back, stopping center back, covering center back. The stopping steps a little bit forward. Then we've got covering center back, holds position, drops a little bit deeper. Then we have the wide center back, fairly straightforward. It is a wide center back. Then we have the stopping wide center back, just like the stopping center back, step a little bit forward. Then we have the covering wide center back, drops a little bit deeper. And then we have that central center back, which is only center back, stopping center back, and covering center back. Operates exactly how the other ones did. And then on the goalkeeper side of things, this is where you get the sweeper keeper, apparently, on the defensive side of the ball, even though the sweeper keeper was also on the offensive side of the ball in FM24, but we ended up just changing the name of that anyways. So this is essentially the exact same thing as the offensive side of the ball. It's just on the defensive side now with a different name. And then we have the line holding goalkeeper, which they stay on the line. They're a little reactive and they try and essentially be a no-nonsense goalkeeper, kind of like it is in possession. Or you can just leave it as is and your goalkeeper's job is to stop the ball. So there we have it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope that this kind of broke it down as easy as possible for you guys to understand what are all the roles that we have and kind of what they all end up doing. I'll be doing really like in-depth deep dives for all the roles and all the formations, kind of giving you guys the best setups throughout FM26, I'm also going to be going over the best formations overall. So that is probably either going to be out next week, maybe the week after, once I've done some more tactic testing with even more formations, to where you guys kind of know, all right, these are the best in possession, best out of possession formations. This is how I marry them together and make sure that I am solid both in possession and out of possession, because I have seen a lot of people struggling. I was one of those people struggling at first, but then I've started to figure it out. We essentially just need to make it as simple as possible, and that's what I'm going to help all you do in the next video for this stuff right here. But if you did enjoy today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that notification bell so you guys get notified when I post any videos here on YouTube. Once again, I'll be linking my Twitch down below in the description if you guys wish to check out the Twitch streams later on today, which will be with this Liverpool side. And also, if you have not pre-ordered FM26 just yet and do still wish to do so, I have a discount code down below for 22% off over at Fanatical if you wish to pre-order the game, get some early access, give it a go for yourself. So until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.